and like anchors and stuff like that, they'll be like 5, 4, and then
Yeah.
they'll be like do the thing, like you'll see it on the video, but they'll do that. It'd be funny if you did that, and I'm like waiting for you to record, or for you to say start record.
I think that'd be
Then we,
funny.
then we
I
come
have
in with
a
our intro.
I have a Band-Aid on my middle finger, so I'm showing that to the camera right now.
I'm showing the Glazer Gamble sign. I can show them ham bone too.
Nice.
Buddy boy, hi you little stinker.
All right, let's get this
Swear I
going.
won't forget this. Why do I regret this?
My
Welcome.
name's Michael Glazier, and my name's Mike Oxmall.
Oh, welcome back to the Glazier Gamble podcast. It has been a hot minute. Holidays get caught up with us. Depression gets caught up with us, but we're back.
Depression doesn't really ever leave.
It doesn't leave, but
It's just here.
yeah, here's my
Just
best
here.
friend Depression, always around in my pocket. I bring him to work. Yeah, it's just,
You know, like the song that's like, I've got a, or no.
I got a pocket full of depression.
Yeah.
But this week, we don't have any, like, we know we've been wanting to talk about DC, but been dead silent outside of Superman, which we've already talked about. But Marvel's
Little
coming
lull
out.
of Marvel stuff too. Lull of Marvel stuff.
Yeah. Maybe depression's hitting them too.
We got tickets to Captain America, which will be fun.
It will
February
be.
15th, we'll see it.
I was talking to my wife about Captain America because she had never heard of Red Hulk before, and she was like, "What is?"
Sure, he's red now.
I was like,
oh my
"Well,
God,
he's
red now."
he's like, oh, in the comics, he's actually like he's red because his skin is so hot. When he goes around things, they like melt. Like he's so hot."
Right.
I was like, I
Yes.
doubt they're gonna do that because putting that in TV would not work.
I think it will work with vibranium.
Right, but like you can't walk next to a car without it melting. Like how would they?
Right.
There's
Sure.
no way he'd be like that
Sure.
level of
Yeah.
hot.
Sure.
And I was like, and Harrison Ford is gonna be Red Hulk, and she was like, isn't he super old?
Right. But William Hurt was also old.
Right. And I was like, well, yes, but it's not like he's gonna be playing him and doing the physical stuff. But we were just talking about that. But anyway, we got tickets for that. I'm excited for it because I think it's one of the first Marvel movies that has little expectations.
Right.
They actually said that if it makes like 50 million, it would be considered a success in Marvel's eyes. And I was like, cool. I would love if Marvel got a little bit of a reset. Like not every single one of them had to make 500 million or it's a fail.
Sure.
Especially
Right.
because Anthony Mackie is super cool and awesome and a very good actor. So trying to put unrealistic expectations onto a movie where like that's being led by him is unfair. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait, and we will definitely be doing a review of that. I think it's fun to go into a Marvel movie that is going to be just let's just go. If it's good, great. If it's average, that's just fine too. It
has pretty big implications too.
It does. And the IMAX poster has the Eternals in it.
Sure.
The celestial body
Right.
in the ocean.
Tiamat.
So
Well, yeah, it's gonna be centered around Tiamat. I mean, everyone assumes that Tiamat's gonna be made out of adamantium, and so like Sam Wilson getting his brand new vibranium suit from the Wakandans. You see some of those. You see him kind of absorb with the. Just jumped off. You see him absorb some of the energy throughout the trailer of that, and kind of use that energy he receives to kind of push people back.
Yeah.
But adamantium is stronger than vibranium, so if what it seems like is that you're going to get the war for Tiamat, and you see a lot of cool shots in the trailer of him like flying over the celestial body.
The United States is clearly going to say that they like claim it, but people are like, no, you can't own this.
Yeah.
Which I hope that they don't necessarily need the Eternals to make an appearance.
No.
But I hope that this is a good sign that the Eternals isn't complete. Like I know Eternals 2 was scrapped, but there was too many implications.
There's stories. Yeah, there's stories with that.
Yeah. And like I want Cersei to come back. I want what's his name? Adam. Who's the guy from Game of Thrones that has the necro sword at the end?
The Black Knight.
Black Knight, yeah, like
Not the necro sword, the ebon blade.
the Ebon Blade. Yeah, they
looks like the necro sword. Dane Whitman.
right, and I don't want that to be
Kit
nothing.
Harington.
I don't want like all these different characters that they've been hinting at to just disappear. I don't want that to be a trend. Like, where's my Shang-Chi at?
Right.
So I'm hoping that we get a little bit of, hey, we haven't brought these people back in a while, but they're not gone forever. Simu Liu doesn't deserve this, so he needs to come back. But today we're here, Captain America, very excited. But today we're here to talk about something that we do have extremely high expectations for, something we've been demanding from Marvel. Go back to street level. Let's make a drama. That
suspense action thriller
that they waited so long. DC beat them to it with the Penguin, so now they actually have some. Like, now they have to compare with the Penguin instead of, if they would have just released it when people were asking for it, they wouldn't have.
Yeah,
had
it's
to
gone through a couple reshoots and different directors and stuff, but they got the story right. But it sounds like, because John Bernthal with the old story was trying to almost get out of the project, but then eventually they found something that worked. They brought Karen Page and Foggy Nelson back because in the original script, I think they wanted to kill them both off screen in the first episode or something like that. And one of them or both of them may die, you never know. But
I mean,
to kill them both in the first episode off screen is kind of lame. So
obviously we're talking about Daredevil Born Again.
Right.
One way that you could easily make, because people already have different opinions and feelings about Kingpin, one way you could definitely make them hate Kingpin or the new villain that they have coming in.
And a couple. They got Muse.
Yeah.
Muse will be in it. And then Benjamin Poindexter, or no, Quentin.
The guy that's coming from the prison. I know.
Yeah, Quicksilver. Or Bullseye. Sorry.
I think that... one good way to immediately make fans like feel a hatred or dislike towards them would be to kill a fan, like kill Foggy.
Right.
So I agree. I could see them dying, but I think killing them in a with Kingpin,
it would be Foggy too, because Karen. It was someone who tied everyone together, from like the Netflix shows,
right?
And she has a really big connection with Frank. So,
and I think having Kingpin do that is a waste, because we already have our opinions of Kingpin. We know what he's done. So I had a question for you, which I'm thinking some fans that, especially that maybe have been taking a break from Marvel, that are coming back to it, might have. Kingpin's eye. There was no scar or anything. Is this supposed to be before Echo? Because how is he a mayor already if this is before Echo?
Yeah, I don't think it's before Echo, and
because he had no scar. Even so, like, his eye was replaced in Echo, but the scar was completely gone.
Right.
So I don't. When he was talking with Daredevil in the trailer, why does he look completely fine?
Sure.
Do you know?
I don't know. I know that in the comics he gets shot in the face and he's perfectly fine. But in regards to
doesn't he wear an eye patch after that though?
For a little while, but then he's okay. Kingpin doesn't necessarily have any superpowers, but he's a strong guy. Right,
he's resilient.
So he's very resilient. So he does get shot in the comics, and he does wear like a patch on his eye for a while, but then he eventually is okay.
Yeah, so. I was confused, because I was like, wait, is this supposed to be set? I thought this was supposed to be like, after the blip, and he takes advantage of the people while they're gone and works his way into power.
And I don't know if we know if Daredevil was not blipped. I don't believe.
Yeah, I think we have got that confirmed in She-Hulk.
Yeah, Daredevil was not blipped. And I really hope they show the blip from his point of view. It would, I know the fans have been wanting that, because you got to imagine he can hear heartbeats, he can hear like sweat running down someone. He can hear like
To hear how silent
senses
the
are
world
crazy.
gets for him.
And yeah, you just hear screaming and then heartbeats fading away. Would be horrifying from his point of view. I think that would be cool to see. Yeah, I think it's after the fact, because I think he's obviously like he won the mayorship in this. And fun fact, in that the scene where they're kind of in downtown like Manhattan or downtown New York, and you see all the like the boards light up with his face, right? Like he probably is giving a message to everybody. On the very far left of that scene, there's a billboard that says Harlem's Paradise, which is the club from Luke Cage. Like the main club from Luke Cage, which is super cool. It's like Harlem's Paradise. It's the one that Cottonmouth or
well, in Harlem's where Luke Cage is supposed to be from, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, and Mahershala Ali played Bushmaster.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Cottonmouth is what they called. No, he didn't play Bushmaster, but Cottonmouth is the character he played. And yeah, he owned that club in downtown Harlem. So yeah, we get a reference to Luke Cage in this. And, you know, there was a lot of speculation that the next person they would bring in would probably be Jessica Jones, just because of the popularity of her. But it's cool to see a Luke Cage nod to all that.
Yeah.
So
it would be nice. We haven't heard anything about the other actors outside of Punisher in the street level, and the Defenders and stuff. We have heard Finn Jones, I think it was.
He's the Iron Fist.
Yeah, he made comments about how he wants to come back. So,
yeah, I think he deserves a chance. I mean,
what's her name? Who plays Jessica Jones?
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah. She posted a picture like 2 years ago.
She's got a little purple strand in her hair, which Jessica Jones had. She was wearing like a Jessica Jones shirt. She's definitely playing the socials a little bit to get fans hyped or to mess with fans. I don't know, but
sorry if you can hear that. There's a helicopter flying over my house.
I can. Yeah, I heard a little bit there. Quick, play the song.
Mind reckless, thoughts are feeling endless. Sitting up, I'm breathless. Anxiety's infectious. I feel so defenseless.
Yeah, so I live not too far from a military airfield, so occasionally we get the huge copters, the like military choppers fly over. It's usually about this time of night, like once, twice a week tops.
Sure.
But yeah, that was what that noise was. So but yeah, it'd be cool to see them come back, especially because they've been able to keep it pretty quiet for the most part.
Sure.
One person that was in the trailer was Punisher, John Bernthal, and like speaking directly on the trailer itself, what was kind of cool is one thing we haven't gotten from Marvel besides, you know, the Netflix properties is like straight up
compound fractures.
Yeah, violence. I was gonna say violence. Like Deadpool obviously brought it in, but it was almost like campy violence, like Deadpool usually is. Yes, there's like blood and gore and like stabbing, shooting, all that, and Deadpool melting of skin off,
blood bleeding underneath shirts and stuff.
But like, to get a little bit into the weeds in filmmaking, like the color balancing, the soundtrack, like everything that they have throughout Deadpool, you never once get a like suspenseful violence. It's almost always like,
you're never like, oh god, like when someone gets injured,
right? Like when Wolverine stabs Deadpool like 16 times and there's like blood and all that. It's like, oh, like this is intense, but it's not.
You're right. He'll be fine.
Dark.
He's got a healing factor. He'll be all right.
But in the trailer, I like winced, and there was parts like, ooh, there's gonna be parts of the show where I might have a hard time
someone's
watching.
leg. He snaps someone's leg, and then definitely bends someone's arm.
Yeah, the camera angle has like their elbow there, so he bends their elbow the opposite way, and they have the elbow bone like pointing at the camera from the bottom side of the arm.
Yep.
And then they had like the leg snaps. I was like, okay, there's gonna be parts.
Yeah, he like jumps and puts both like his entire body weight on someone's leg, and it like inverts.
Yeah,
love it.
Lovely. There's gonna be parts where like I'm not
It's
squeamish,
not
but
like
I'm not going to be able to watch a ton of it.
all those Disney Plus shows. Like this is different
Yeah.
than those Disney Plus shows. Like this is, if you've seen any of the like Netflix Daredevil, and especially if you want a better realization of probably what's going to happen, watch Netflix's Punisher.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that was brutal. I mean, that's murder. Like,
which I'm gonna give. I've given this show more credit than most people already, but Echo had a bit of that.
Yeah,
Echo had some of that violence, the broken bones and stuff. They just, because they had to keep it family friendly, they couldn't show everything.
Right. Yeah, and it was TV mature, and Echo also probably should have had an extra like 2 episodes or so.
It should have,
instead of like 5, or it should have had like probably the 8 that we're used to.
Yeah, we talked about it back then, I think,
right?
Because each episode was something like 45 minutes or so.
Right.
Instead of 6 45 minutes, they could have done like 8 40-minute, and I think it would have been better.
Right. I think Daredevil's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like 9 or 10 or 11 or something like that.
Whatever it is, I think it's gonna be really, really, really good. A large part of it is because they have gone through so much like tweaking of the project. So many, like, John Bernthal is very dedicated to what he does. He's very well practiced, and he isn't really the type of guy to stick with a project if he doesn't believe in it, which is why he was going to leave. So the fact that he did eventually see it through tells me it's going to be at least good.
Yeah, I think the one thing with like all the reshoots that they did have to do, and it's not like Blade number of reshoots,
we don't talk about Blade.
But I think the problem they had is they tried to do a Daredevil show, and I almost want to say, this is just from my point of view, I think it was too MCU. It was too MCU at the start, and when hopefully when Feige saw it, he was like, this is not what we want. Like, this isn't what we want. Like, we still want it to be tied to the MCU, and it will be tied to the MCU, but like, we have none of the magic that the Netflix Daredevil had. And Charlie Cox can bring that in an MCU show, but this isn't an MCU. It is an MCU show, but it's not an MCU show.
All right,
if that makes sense. Like, this is its own world.
It should feel like a subplot, like a subsection of the MCU, where it's almost like a soft reboot, or like, if you were to say there's a adult side of MCU, this is going to be separate from that.
Yeah, it should be in there. And you can bring him in, and you can have him share the screen with Spider-Man. You can have him share the screen with She-Hulk. You can do that, but that's a different side of Matt Murdock,
right?
I guess so.
And I think the difference between Daredevil and a lot of other superheroes that we've seen, like She-Hulk, imagine the type of violence she could.
She probably ripped someone in half.
Right. And
so
that's the sort of thing people are like, oh, this is what we need to see. But not only because it's supposed to maintain family friendly, especially for like marketing purposes, but a lot of what people like about superheroes is, at least when they're consuming them in movies, like in comic books, you can get like basically any character to be as violent as you want. It's just usually pretty cool. But seeing She-Hulk rip somebody in half completely changes how you view She-Hulk. Just kind of like how you view certain characters is like, what if Steve Rogers was willing to just go full out violent and you like watched it? Look at the way people have reacted to Scarlet Witch.
I mean, look at John Walker.
Or John Walker,
that's essentially what you get when Cap goes too violent. He'll cut someone in half.
And you saw the reaction during that show that a lot of fans weren't a fan of it.
Yeah, everyone was horrified of that too. The people in the show, the civilians too, were like,
the civilians were horrified, and then the fans were rooting against that character. It's like, that's kind of why they stay away from that level of violence. But when you get to like a street level character like a Daredevil, where the majority of their combat skills come from, like physical, like weapon based.
Brutalization. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
like, there's villains that won't like. There's villains that have to die for their cause, like, because they work for someone where if you don't die for your cause, then that person will just kill you anyway. So
part of what makes some characters endearing is their willingness, their ability to hold back, the ability to pull somebody in half but not, as opposed to if Daredevil didn't inflict the level of violence that he's going to, or Punisher didn't, they're probably dead.
yeah,
Like Batman could kill many but doesn't, because he is able to outsmart and maneuver to the point where he knows his life isn't in danger, so he doesn't need to kill. And often trying not to kill is what like gets him in trouble. And that's kind of what happens with the other character, like Psylocke, for a random hero that is not like a major part of the MCU, at least not yet. They could murder people
100%.
like so like
Wanda could,
which we got to see Wanda murder other supers.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
and
like,
what did people's opinions of her after Multiverse of Madness? It changed. Like, love her, but like at the same time, like it's like, oh, I didn't really like that movie. It's like, why didn't you like that movie? Because you got villain Wanda,
right?
Like, and
the ability of a character to restrain themselves is part of what makes you root for them. We kind of all want our heroes to be able to kill if needed, but 99% of the time, a lot of fans want, can you hold back up to that point? And when it comes to these street, like you're dealing with drug lords, they're dealing with like not just the villains, the super villains they're going to be fighting, they're going to be dealing with people that aren't going to hesitate to kill them.
Right.
And
because they may not even be like, and you brought up drugs, like they may be under the influence of something where the villains have no restraint or anything. So it's like, then the heroes are going to have to show no restraint too. So
Daredevil doesn't mind having to kill. He will obviously snapping the legs of people might restrain them, so they might not be able to kill.
And you get a line in the trailer where he says a line was crossed, and then you instantly see ambulances and the Daredevil mask falling. So something happened that was pretty traumatic. I'm guessing he is forced to kill someone, and that's going to play a toll for him, because that's what he questions Kingpin as, like, I think you're playing the system. And Kingpin instantly changes the subject and is like, why aren't you a vigilante anymore?
Right, because as long as you have vigilantes, you have more people on his side.
Yeah.
Because he can manipulate the media as long as there's a vigilante to blame.
Exactly.
And maybe that applies to some things in real life, but we won't talk about that. And so, like, I think that a lot of the appeal of these characters that we're going to see comes from the violence that we're going to be able to witness. But the biggest thing that we've been asking for with Street Levels is you create a connection to these characters that you don't always get when the supernatural comes into play. Like, yes, Daredevil's hearing abilities and everything are like superhuman.
Right.
But he's not summoning ice out of his hands. He's not, commanding a hammer that can call lightning down from the sky.
Right.
It's a character who, because of their lack of that, they're going to have to make sure the writing is good, the score is good, the cliffhanger, it's going to have to be the choreography. It's going to have to be as good as a show it's going to have to be as good as Penguin or The Boys, or it has to be writing
one
up
of the
to that
top
level.
Netflix shows of all time, Daredevil. Like,
right, like they have to bring it every episode, because this is kind of again, subsection, a soft reboot of portions of Marvel, where
and Marvel trying new things, right? Like they're like their first R-rated project in Daredevil and Wolverine,
right?
And now they're like, it's definitely going to be TV mature, like there's no question about it. The trailer was pretty TV mature itself.
It was, but if Daredevil fails and Fantastic Four fail, that would be like the
What else you
official
got
this
this
is
year?
over.
Thunderbolts too. So
Right. And like I think if Daredevil isn't good, nobody's going to watch Thunderbolts. If
right,
Captain America is
sure,
not great, I don't think people are interested in Thunderbolts.
right.
I think I think Daredevil plus Fantastic Four is Marvel's last little stitch of like
And they do. I mean, like they do fine.
right.
Like their movies still make 500 mil. Like Doctor
Exactly.
Strange was seen as a bust, but like it made like 500 mil. So
Right.
like,
Black Panther 2 made a ton of money.
you're right.
Um
Like they're fine. It's just they gotta re-get their identity back, and I think and to not necessarily all their fault, but the Jonathan Majors thing kind of threw a wrench in things, and then obviously they admitted at the start of Phase 4 that they were doing too much. So like
mhm.
they not necessarily bit off more than they could chew, but they like overserved. They overserved us,
Right.
I guess, and they've gotten back to like we're gonna do try to do like 2 movies and 3 projects, or like 2 movies and 3 shows, or they're gonna do 3 movies and 3 shows each year. So like they're limiting it, but they're gonna take more of a quality approach, and they know they have to hit with Fantastic Four,
Right.
and they got some animated projects this year, but like
Which I'm very excited for.
yeah,
I think the big thing about like them hitting, um, it's similar to there's people, every industry, gaming industry is kind of dealing with this same thing that Marvel's dealing with. Food industry, like all these different industries feel with that same thing where they said you were talking about how they were giving us too much, they were oversaturating us.
sure,
And like obviously I'm not saying this to like rip on young people, but a lot of that comes from wanting to satisfy the younger audience by constantly feeding them the content because
sure,
they think that that's what they want. It's just kind of like a little kid. They always want McDonald's. They always want junk food.
sure,
They want what's not necessarily what's best for them because they want what gives them the immediate satisfaction, the immediate like sugar high. People in video games, they for example, Teamfight Tactics switched how they did everything from they were releasing 6 sets a year. Each set had a mid set, so they were constantly pumping out new
pumping out
content
stuff, sure,
to keep the game fresh. They changed it so it's 3 sets a year, no more mid sets, but each set has way better, balancing themes, more choices for the player.
sure,
Same thing with somebody gets better options for food. It's just that they're gonna still get the content thrown at them occasionally. But like with Marvel, they're they were oversaturating, trying to go after like that young audience, when your dedicated audience are the people that are going to constantly be coming back, as well as the people, I always favor this, I'm sure that annoys people that have listened to like every episode of this, from a marketing standpoint, you need to not target the youth. You can merchandise for the youth, but the people that are
sure.
going to be consistently providing you money are going to be the people, ages 20 to 45,
Right.
and maybe
The
up to
ones
like
that were
55.
the ones that were in high school and college when you first started.
Right. And I think that switching to less shows per year, less movies, maybe cutting out certain things that were already being planned that now are scrapped. It's going to upset the people on the internet. What doesn't? But providing higher quality content, even though it's less content, maintains the love from those people that are going to go to every movie, continuously spend money,
Sure.
and spread word of mouth. And I think that's where we're kind of heading. And taking it slow, redoing Daredevil a few times. I think it's gonna go well. The trailer gets me excited for seeing something again, consistent thing that we've seen with Marvel, at least with over the past year or two. It's something new. It's something different that at least Disney's form of Marvel hasn't had. I'm excited to see. I'm not a big fan of, overly unnecessary violence, but I'm still excited to see it because it's not like it's going to be in every, like Captain America is not going to be snapping people's arms. So I'll get that.
That's very Daredevil like. I mean, like
Kingpin should slam people's heads into tables.
Yeah, or car doors. Like that's what he did in the previous seasons. Like just until you hear the like blood splattering crunch, like the Negan slam. You hear that, you hear that.
Yep.
So, and yeah, it's brutal, but like, and you also have the Punisher, who's like mentally unstable because his family got murdered. Like it's you can't have that kind of character and just have it be like, oh yep, he's just gonna kind of beat some people up. So
yeah, and the thing with the Punisher also. The fans
he looks unhinged.
Of Punisher.
And some people, Matt's one of those guys that can kind of bring him back.
Right.
Karen Page is one of those people that can bring him back kind of to reality. Be like Frank, like
in the trailer.
Yeah, and like he definitely seems not himself. Obviously, because when his beard gets a little long, he's definitely like off the rails a little, or he's. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of how that dynamic plays out because. If Frank was snapped or not snapped, like we don't know that. All we know is that Kingpin was not snapped, and we know that Daredevil was not snapped. So, or blipped. Sorry if that. I knew you knew what I mean, but yeah, they weren't blipped. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I really have high expectations, which is nice. It's fun to have high expectations because even if they're not met, it just shows the level of hope and excitement that you might have. And it's cool to have extreme level of excitement for DC and then to have Marvel consistently being not perceived well by the mass audience, which I don't care because I've been enjoying it. I liked the Marvels. I liked Echo, so I'm
Yeah, we see everything positively. So like the media or the fans or the outrage that you hear about, oh, it's not that good. Like you could take the Marvels as an example. Like everyone thought the Marvels was horrible, but people didn't see it, and then when it came out on Disney Plus, everyone's like, "This is really good!" Like
it became the number one watch thing on Disney Plus for a week.
Exactly. So like, I don't care about the outrage or the bad stuff because like the majority of the people that stick with it are going to get rewarded. So
for sure,
So I have high expectations for this too. So
it's fun to be excited. Especially in a time where people might not feel like happy all the time. We're only a couple days after the saddest day of the year. Statistically, it's like the coldest day, the saddest day, the most depressed day, highest day of people unaliving themselves. Like we're not too far from that. So we're in a time where a lot of people are sad. It's nice to be in a time where we have some things to look forward to. And, movies, entertainment, video games, most things like that are a great form of escape. They're temporary, and you can move on with your day. So it's nice to be able to, work 8, 9, 10, maybe longer hours. And then you've been like hurting your back all day and you come home. It's going to be nice to, watch somebody kick someone else's ass and maybe at the end get a fun credit scene where we get to finally see Blade, or maybe we get to see Shang-Chi or Iron Fist mixing with Shang-Chi where they're going to do that storyline. Maybe we get to see Tom Holland Spider-Man. Who knows? Obviously there are things that may not happen, way less likely to happen, but it's awesome. And I think the trailer was super cool. I think the show is going to be amazing. And even if it's not connected to any other Marvel products, we don't get any sort of anything like that. I think more likely we'd get like a Thunderbolts thing, but it's going to be awesome. And we're going to be talking about every episode here. So make sure you subscribe, stick around, make sure you watch everything because we're going to be talking about it. Since we've had like a little break, I would like, now that we're like going to be hopefully kicking back into like weekly episodes, would be fun to get some more regular bits. So if you guys have any things you'd like to see, maybe you'd like certain games to be played with these shows, let us know. Let us know what you think is going to happen in Daredevil, if your opinion, or are you excited? And again, like, share, comment, tell us all what you think. Just want to let you all know.
Betrayed and embarrassed.
Let you all know you look great today. GG.
GG.
Being open, I hate being broken. I feel like an ocean filled up with emotion. Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back.